the recording with them. I hope, Rahil, the issues are solved now.
ठीक है
ठीक है?
Ma'am, it's recording now.
Thank you, Satyansh. Yes, the team, let's start.
Okay, ma'am, so we'll start. So we've shared the sequence with you, but for the larger class, we're going to start with the opening statements from both the prosecution and the defense, and then go on to the PW1, PW2, DW1, and DW2. Their EIC, their CE, their EIC, their CE. This is how the sequence will go. And in the end, we will do the closing arguments. All right. The counsel seeks permission to approach the bench.
Permission granted.
Much obliged. The counsel seeks permission to address the bench as Your Honor.
permission allowed.
Much obliged, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Antika Priyadarshi, and I am a public prosecutor in the case of State versus Monty Khanna. I'm joined by my co-counsel, Mr. Manu Manchanda, in these proceedings. Your Honor, this is an open-shut case of assault, use of criminal force, and sexual harassment by one Mr. Monty Khanna against my client, Ms. Kashish. The crime took place at the Happy Hotel, New Delhi, on 31st December 2021. The complainant, Your Honor, is a mere 19-year-old girl, the sole breadwinner for a family of 5 women with no father figure around. She has had to deal with enough ordeals and difficulties in her life with losing her father recently, but her zeal and determination to provide for her family and make a career for herself have kept her going up until this terrible encounter with Mr. Monty Khanna, who is a senior in office that she has recently joined. Ms. Kashish saw Mr. Monty as a mentor, as a father figure who had 15 years of experience, and she believed that if she could find a guide in him. However, Mr. Monty time and again displayed inappropriate, sexually colored behavior in the workplace towards my client. Out of fear of disbelief, possible loss of employment, and humiliation, Ms. Kashish hesitated from sharing her agony with others. However, all limits were crossed by Mr. Monty on the New Year's Eve when he outraged the modesty of my client while they were alone in the elevator of the Happy Hotel going up to the party. The acts of Mr. Monty broke this 19-year-old girl to the extent that it made my client want to take her own life rather than see this abuser's face ever again. Your Honor, we all agree that justice must be done and no crime should go unpunished. In light of this ideal and the facts of the case, the prosecution would be calling 2 witnesses to the stand, Ms. Purnima, who is a colleague to both the complainant and the accused, and Ms. Kashish, who is the complainant herself. I now hand over the bench to the defense, Your Honor.
Counsel seeks permission to address this bench as Your Honor.
Permission granted.
Your Honor, much obliged. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Your Honor, my name is Subham Jaiswal, appearing for the defense. I am joined by my co-counsel, Ms. Saloni, in this proceeding. Your Honor, this is the case where a young girl, Ms. Kashish, who is in the dire need of money, got attracted to a rich and powerful person, Mr. Monty Khanna. After her feelings were not requisite, she got upset and depressed and tried other ways to fulfill her wrong motives. This case is the result of her depression. Your Honor, you are here today because Mr. Monty has been wrongfully accused. Your Honor, this is not the case of criminal force, assault, and sexual harassment. This is the case of defamation, character assassination, and conspiracy. Today, the facts and the evidence will show that Mr. Monty is not guilty. Your Honor, my client, Mr. Monty, lives in Greater Kailash, New Delhi, with his wife and 20-year-old daughter. He has good character and reputation in the community, and also has a very good professional relationship with all the staff in the company, where he worked for almost 15 years. Not a single allegation was made against him in the last 15 years. Your Honor, I would like to remind this court that the prosecution has the burden. They have a burden of proof to you beyond into exclusion of all reasonable doubt that my client, Mr. Monty, is guilty. Your Honor, think of a reasonable doubt as a chain a chain that's all linked together. It only takes one weak link to establish reasonable doubt. Your Honor, today you will hear from two defense witnesses. First, Mr. Sanjeev Bhatia and Managing Director of the company where the accused works, and second, Mr. Sanjay, the driver of the accused. Mr. Sanjeev Bhatia, Managing Director of accused company, explained that how Mr. Monty and Ms. Kashish was so connected and how Mr. Monty helps Ms. Kashish in his work. We anticipate that Mr. Sanjeev Bhatia will describe how Ms. Kashish and Mr. Monty mannerism during their discussion. You also hear from Mr. Sanjeev Bhatia about Mr. Monty's relationship with Mr. Kashish and how often he sees them in the office working together. We also anticipate that Mr. Sanjeev will say that Mr. Monty has never been found misbehaving with his colleagues in his office. He has a very good reputation and character. Mr. Sanjeev will also explain to the court his particular role in the company. Our second witness, Mr. Sanjay, will describe that night what happened when Mr. Monty and Ms. Kashish both came from the party. Thank you, Your Honor. I hand over the bench to the prosecution side.
Your Honor, counsel for the prosecution seeks permission to examine its first witness, PW1, Ms. Purnima.
Permission granted.
Much obliged, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Purnima. Is your name Ms. Purnima, wife of Mr. Rajesh Roshan?
Yes.
Since when do you, Ms. Purnima, work at Honeymoon Travels Private Limited with Mr. Monty and Ms. Kashish?
Well, I've worked there for 2 years now.
And how would you say your relations are with Ms. Kashish?
Quite friendly relations with Kashish, as I do with other colleagues. We usually have lunch and tea together.
Right. What kind of employee do you think Ms. Kashish is?
Kashish is a new joinee who joined our organization in December. And she's been working very hard ever since. And she's quite sincere and committed to her duties, one can say. And I have seen her, staying back late in the evenings, even whenever she's asked to.
Right. Has she been the only employee that you've seen stay back late in the office?
Not really. Mr. Monty Khanna often stayed back with her.
And how would you describe the workplace environment at Honeymoon Travels Private Limited, Ms. Purnima?
I can say that lately the workplace environment has been kind of unconducive to foster optimal performance. Why I say so is particularly because I've had opportunities to notice how uncomfortable and stressed Kashish has been made on several occasions by Mr. Khanna. Now, this person, Monty Khanna, who's been so senior, he's been trying to be too friendly with her and even flirt with her at times openly. And this made me even uncomfortable to even have to witness a behavior of a fellow senior employee, such a behavior. I mean, he often asked her out, and one day when he gave her a lift home in his car, he even tried to touch her cheek and held her hand. So that's why I say.
Very understandable, Ms. Purnima. Were you present at the New Year's Eve party on 31st December 2021 at the Happy Hotel?
No, I could not attend that party as I had plans to celebrate New Year's with my husband.
So do you recall your interaction with Ms. Kashish the following day, that is on 1st of January 2022?
Yes, quite clearly. I, in fact, remember Kashish came to the office very, very nervous and she was tense. And she looked like, obviously, she would not have slept that night too. So I tried talking to her several times, but to no avail. Finally, during the coffee break around 4 p.m., she actually broke down in front of me and she was sobbing inconsolably. But yet, I tried to console her. She told me when Monty Khanna had tried to misbehave with her the previous evening in the lift of Happy Hotel.
And what was your reaction to that, Ms. Purnima?
As I said, I tried to console her and I told her to report the matter immediately to the higher officials, at least in writing. But she was too embarrassed. She did not want to even tell her family. She was just too embarrassed about it.
Thank you so much, Ms. Purnima. That's all, Your Honor. I hand over the bench to my learned friend for cross-examination of the witness.
The counsel seeks permission to address the benches, Your Honor.
Permission granted.
Much obliged. The counsel seeks permission to cross-examine prosecution witness 1, Ms. Purnima.
Permission allowed.
Much obliged. Ms. Purnima, do you know Ms. Kashish?
Yes, I do.
And does Ms. Kashish have two younger sisters, a mother and a paternal grandmother in her family?
Yes, that's what she's told me.
Okay. And did her father die 1 year ago?
Yeah, unfortunately.
And then she seems to be the sole breadwinner for the family.
Yeah, at present.
And do you think her current income is sufficient to provide for a decent standard of living for her whole family?
Yes.
Hello, am I audible?
Your camera got stuck, Salon.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. There was some connectivity issue. Is her current income sufficient for her studies?
You're not audible.
Am I? Is it okay?
Yeah, now you're audible. Yes.
Yeah, so sorry. So is her current income sufficient to provide for her to provide for a decent standard of living for her whole family? Do you think that?
Yeah, the company pays well.
And do you think her current income and growth is sufficient for the sisters' education or for any future planning like their marriage, their healthcare expenditures, the grandmother's healthcare expenditure? What do you think about that?
For that, I am not sure of her family's savings or wealth allocated for the said purpose as such. So, cannot say.
Okay. And what else? Do you think there is any other mode of payment, any other plans that she's discussed with you about her future career plans?
She once informed me of her plans and ideas of having a family startup business for
All
for
right.
additional sources of income in the future.
All right. Your Honor, I would like to point out that Ms. Purnima seems highly unrealistic in this position because any reasonable person may be easily able to understand that her current income as a new joinee, as a 19-year-old new joinee, is far from sufficient to sustain her whole family with 5 members, with 2 younger sisters, their education, their higher education, wedding, household expenditures, healthcare for senior members, along with other dreams that she may have as an ambitious young woman. Moving on, Ms. Purnima, do you think a startup or a new business needs some sort of initial investment?
Yes, of course.
And do you think she would be able to invest on her own, from her own income?
As I said, I'm not sure of her family's savings or wealth, so don't know how to answer that about her investment.
All right. And do you think Mr. Monty and Kashish often work together?
Yes.
Did Mr. Monty and Kashish stay back late in the office for work sometimes?
Yeah, she was compelled to do so by Monty Khanna.
She was compelled, even when no other employee was present?
Yes, at times. That's right.
Okay. And if she was compelled, so I'm sure Ms. Kashish must have objected to working late or made any complaints regarding the same to any higher authorities.
No, she was too scared to object to any such instructions being made as a new joinee. And moreover, she told me it was a part of her employment conditions that she had accepted before joining. So I don't think she could have
Alright.
complained.
Your Honor, I'd like to point out here that Ms. Kashish's inaction in this case clearly points to the good bonding between her and Mr. Khanna. And it does not look like she was uncomfortable at all because she came to office and she seemingly seemed cordial after that. Ms. Purnima, do you think...
I would not agree.
Okay, we'll move forward. Ms. Purnima, would you say that Ms. Kashish is an intelligent lady?
Yes.
And do you think she's a smart woman?
Yes, can say so.
So could we say that a smart and intelligent woman the smart and intelligent part of it would also include understanding the possible threats to one's modesty or life in general at the workplace?
Yeah, of course.
Your Honor, I point out here that Miss Purnima thinks that Kashish is an intelligent and smart lady who can understand what is a possible threat to her modesty. Drawing upon that, we may presume that she is also a smart and intelligent woman that knows the easiest and possibly the quickest ways to rise up the ladder of her ambitions. Miss Purnima, do you think a smart and intelligent Miss Kashish would put herself deliberately into a situation which she understands would probably endanger her modesty?
Mm, no, not voluntarily, but she may be compelled to,
Fair,
as happened in this case. Yeah.
fair enough. And do you know if Miss Kashish has a car?
No, she doesn't.
Okay, and then how does she commute?
She uses public transport.
All right. Do you know of any instances where Mr. Monty happened to give her lifts back to her home after work?
Yes, I know one instance wherein on the Christmas Eve, where I specifically remember, they got really late at work, and Mr. Monty Khanna was only available in office at that time, and everyone else had left, including me, because he could have sought help from me. But after that, when I got a call from her, she was fumbling what to do. That Mr. Monty Khanna is offering her lift, and she doesn't know whether she'll find public transport, and at this time, because it was quite late. So I rather assured her that don't be distressed. And Mr. Monty Khanna was in fact, I told her he was a married man. He had a 20-year-old daughter. So I ended up erroneously suggesting to her that she should be safe rather in accepting his offer of lift. So
Right.
did that.
And did she tell you that he touched her in the car inappropriately?
Yeah, she was upset the next day also that she touched her on her cheek, and she held her hand also sometimes in the car.
Okay. And do you think we can consider this alleged misconduct as an attempt to outrage her modesty?
Yes, we can say it was a beginning. Yeah.
Okay. So apparently it was a clear and direct attempt to outrage her modesty. So did Miss Kashish go with him again ever in his car?
Yes, that's what the case is about on the New Year's Eve, as everyone is aware.
All right. To be noted, Your Honor, a seemingly smart Miss Kashish went with Mr. Monty yet again in his car after this alleged attempt of him outraging her modesty took place. Despite being so perturbed and traumatized by his advances, as she claims, she put herself in the exact same situation again. A smart woman, as Miss Purnama claims, cannot be expected to be so naive. Actually, Your Honor, she welcomed the gestures of Mr. Monty as she was clearly interested in him, and that's why she went again with him in his car. Miss Purnima, did you notice Miss Kashish daydreaming particularly after the 24th? Anything particularly different about her behavior?
Daydreaming? No, not really. Just that she was a bit uncomfortable in whenever she was in Monty Khanna's company after that. And in fact, she always wanted me to be there beside her.
All right. And was it Miss Kashish's birthday on the 21st? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah.
Okay. And Mr. Monty was at the party?
Yeah, she celebrated it in office only, and I think she could not have said no to the presence of seniors, else she would have, managed.
I think that view is a little erroneous, Your Honor. Miss Kashish deliberately invited Mr. Monty to her party because she had a soft corner for him. And Miss
No, she
Purnima,
didn't.
is it true that?
She didn't invite.
All right, we'll move forward. Miss Purnima, is it true that Mr. Monty forcibly tried to hug Miss Kashish on her birthday and that made her uncomfortable?
Yes.
And despite that, Your Honor, Ms. Kashish went alone with a man that allegedly made her so uncomfortable in his car, not only on the Christmas Eve, but also on the 31st, New Year's Eve. Ms. Purnima, is it correct that Mr. Monty picked up Kashish on New Year's Eve as well?
Yes.
In his own car?
Yeah.
Right. And did Ms. Kashish get upset or disappointed at the party?
Yeah. At the party, the New Year's Eve party.
Yes.
Yes, of course. She was very upset.
Were you present in the party? Did you see her upset?
No. I already said I could not go there. I was with my family.
Right. Then how did you know that she's upset?
The next day in office, I told you I got to know at the coffee break the next day.
Right. Ms. Purnima, do you happen to read fiction novels or watch fiction movies?
No, I never find time.
But what do you think about one-sided love in movies and real life stories? Do you think that happens?
Yeah, could be true.
Then I assume it would be depressing as well when one's love is rejected or it goes unrequited by the other person.
Of course. How is that relevant? Yeah. Yeah.
And you said Miss Kashish was looking depressed or less cheerful the following day after the party?
Yes, in fact, she told me the reason around 4 o'clock in the coffee break that it was because of Mr. Monty Khanna's conduct in the lift. A very strange conduct.
Right. Your Honor, I'd like to point here that Ms. Kashish was evidently depressed after the party, as claimed by Ms. Purnima. But the reason could be a different one. The reason, as per the defense, is not the hypothetical misbehavior of Mr. Monty, but his rejection of Ms. Kashish's coquettish advances, him being a respectable superior at workplace and a loyal family man at home. Thank you, Ms. Purnima. That's all. I now hand over the bench to my learned friend from the prosecution side.
Your Honor, I, Manu Manchanda, counsel appearing on behalf of the complainant, Ms. Kashish Singh, would like your permission to proceed with the examination of chief of my client.
Permission granted.
Much obliged, Your Honor. Please state your name, age, and parentage to the court.
My name is Kashish. I'm 19 years old, daughter of late Mr. Zorawar Singh.
Where in Delhi do you live and since when?
Well, I've stayed in Janakpuri in my flat for the past 10 years.
Who all are there in your family, Ms. Kashish?
There are two younger sisters that I have, a mother and a grandmother that live with me.
When did you join Honeymoon Travels Limited and in what capacity?
I joined the company on 15th of December as a personal secretary to the director of the company.
How did your dealings begin with the accused, Mr. Monty Khanna?
Well, I met him at the office on my very first day, and slowly I realized that he was trying to be over-friendly and clingy with me since the very day I joined.
Could you be a bit specific on his conduct with you?
Well, he would compliment me persistently. He used to ask me out on coffee dates very frequently, and he even tried to hug me on my birthday, which, to be honest, was downright uncomfortable and awkward.
So you mean you went out on coffee dates with him frequently?
No, I did not. He asked me out on coffee dates frequently, and I rejected his multiple offers.
Your Honor, point to be noted on the conduct of the accused. Ms. Kashish, when was the first time the accused offered you a lift home from the office?
Well, he started insisting to pick me up and drop me off back home from the second day of my joining when he got to know that I don't have a car of my own.
So did you accept his lifts?
Not initially. I found this behavior very fishy considering all the other behavior from his end, and I refused his offers. But one evening on 24th of December, he made me work really late in the office after everyone else had left, and I just found it difficult to find public transport back home so late in the night. Moreover, that very same day, I had gotten to know from my colleague Purnima that Mr. Monty Khanna was married with a daughter who was my age. So I thought it was safe to go with him, and I did.
How does that assure you, Miss Kashish?
Well, I thought that a family man, and especially a father of a girl who is exactly my age, would also see me as his daughter and not advance any further.
So, how was the conduct of the accused on that journey specifically?
Well, he tried to be very touchy and over affectionate with me by trying to hold my hand and touch my cheek. I strongly objected to this and I threatened to inform his wife. And after this, he got really embarrassed because his driver was also present.
Your Honor, point to be noted on the complainant's objections. Did you ever raise any complaint about such conduct, Miss Kashish?
Well, I always tried to resist his advances, and I just couldn't gather the courage to complain because of his long standing position in the company. He had been here for 15 years, and I hadn't even joined a month back, and I couldn't risk it. I was just too scared.
So, Miss Kashish, what made you accompany the accused again on the way to the New Year's Eve party on the 31st December?
Safety reasons, safety concerns. So he offered to pick me up in his chauffeur-driven car, so his driver would be present. And I agreed to avoid using public transport at night because the party was at night and for my own safety concerns. And I thought that after the last time and his embarrassment, the last time, that is on 24th December, he would never, try to repeat his behavior. And I thought that I could give him another chance.
I object to Your Honor here. The lady who denied the coffee all the time, how can agree to get lift in the car?
Your Honor, I did not want to put myself in public
Miss
transportation.
Kashish, you don't need to answer that. Your Honor, the defense, I humbly pray, would get their chance to cross-examine the witness, so they could cross-examine at that time.
Sorry
Objection.
to interrupt, Your Honor.
Okay.
So, Miss Kashish, what happened in the lift that day?
Well, what happened in the lift was beyond any nightmares that I've ever had. He not only tried to hold my hand, he tried to forcibly kiss me and started pulling me towards him in the lift.
And how was your reaction, Miss Kashish?
I pushed him away instantly. I was shocked and I started crying and I warned him to stay away from me.
And then what happened at the party?
Well, I felt very embarrassed the whole party and scared because he would continue to stare at me. So I just left early. I had no other way.
How long were you there? What time did you leave? And how did you leave?
I left a little before 9 p.m. I think, since public transport is not safe after that. I was very cognizant of that fact.
Point to be noted again, Your Honor, on the time and the mode of departure of the complainant by public transport. So, Miss Kashish, did you tell anyone?
I could not tell anyone at that point. I was too ashamed that night to even tell my own mother. But the next day, I was just so disturbed, I broke down in my office in front of my colleague Purnima.
Okay. And did you raise a complaint in the office?
Yes, I complained to the MD about the incident, as advised by Purnima.
And did he take any action or initiate any inquiry against the accused?
No, he just refused to believe me, and he was in full support of his employee, Mr. Monty Khanna, being his personal secretary. He advised me to reconcile with Monty, settle the issue amicably, and involving the police, he thought, might spoil the clean image of the company, which would not be good for my career or theirs. That's what he said.
Point to be noted, Your Honor, on the casual attitude of the managing director of the company on such concerns of complaint of sexual harassment. So, Ms. Kashish, how come you decided to approach the police?
Well, my mother advised me that keeping quiet now would end up encouraging such practices of sexual harassment at the workplace, and I took a bold step and I risked my job, I risked everything.
Thank you, Ms. Singh. That's all, Your Honor. I now hand over the bench to my learned friend for cross-examination of the witness, as he was so eager to do it.
Yeah. Counsel 6% to cross-examine public prosecution witness 2.
Permission granted.
Okay, so Ms. Kashish, how many members are there in your family?
There are 5 members, including me.
Okay. Isn't it true that you are the sole earning member of your family?
Yes, my father passed away recently, and now I'm the only earning member.
All right. Isn't it true that you have sole responsibility of such a big family to survive?
Yes, I do have a responsibility, but we also have some family savings set aside.
For that purpose only you joined the company, okay?
For the purpose of winning bread for my family?
Yeah.
No.
For earning money and
I
bread
mean,
and butter for you.
yes, that was a concern. Obviously, I had to earn money to support my family, but I also had to make my own career as a 19-year-old. So that wasn't the only reason, but it was definitely one of the reasons.
Yeah, definitely. When you were recruited, were you agreed to the terms and condition of the company?
Yes, of course, I did.
Okay. Please state before the court what were the terms and conditions regarding work after office hours.
I was informed that we employees sometimes had to stay back late if required.
Okay. You agreed to the terms and conditions and then appointed as secretary of the director of the company. Okay.
Yes, I did. Yes.
When did you meet Mr. Monty for the first time?
On the first day of joining, he was a fellow employee. So the very first day.
Okay. How was his behavior and what you thought about him that day?
Well, I thought he was being over friendly and flirtatious and clingy with me since the very day I joined.
Point to be noted, Your Honor, from the very first day, she came to know the behavior of my client. How someone could judge any person as fast as Miss Kashish judged my client. And
We
she also
girls
said,
sort of develop a radar, Mr. Shubham, after so many years of being in the public and so many years of seeing how people behave and what they might mean by their behavior. I just realized that his friendliness
yes,
was a bit
indeed,
too
indeed,
overbearing.
I agree to your concern, what you have experienced in life. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Since you joined the company, after how many days you have come to know that Mr. Monty was married and has a daughter?
I think my friend Purnima told me about this on the 24th of December, that he has a family and a daughter who is my age. So I think 10 days after joining.
Okay. Isn't it true that when Mr. Monty saw you, always encourage your work and gave you compliments?
I mean, yes, he always found a reason to come close to me. So yes, always, all the time, too much in fact.
Yeah. When is your birthday?
It's on the 21st of December.
Okay. Isn't it true that on your birthday, Mr. Monty tried to hug you?
He did. He hugged me.
It's true that you didn't make any complaint about his behavior.
No, I didn't make any complaint. It was a hug. I just felt uncomfortable and awkward, but I couldn't really say a 15-year senior colleague of mine to, just to tell him off on like the 5th or 6th day of my employment. So I didn't say anything.
Okay, it's okay, Ms. Kashish, but you are a law-abiding citizen, knowing your rights and duties very well. Then why you didn't complain?
I was scared of losing my job. Mr. Monty Khanna is a very influential person in the company. He has worked more than the MD right now. He has been here for 15 years. Nobody would have believed a new joinee over somebody who has worked in this company the longest.
It means you know the truth will be defeated and you will lose your job, right?
Thank you, Mr. Shubham, for saying that it is the truth. And I thought that whatever I say would not be believed by people. So yes, I thought the truth will be defeated. Yes.
It might be possible here too. Then why you are here now? When you presume that truth will be defeated because you narrated the first story, that is true.
I don't think truth will be defeated in a court of law. I did think truth could be defeated in an informal office setting.
Okay. Isn't it true that you often took lifts in Monty's car?
Not often. I only took a lift in his car 2 times, I think. On Christmas Eve back home from the office when he made me work really late in the office after everyone else had left. And I found it very difficult to find public transport. And second time was from my home to the Happy Hotel on the 31st December.
Okay. Isn't it true that one day when he gave you a lift home in car, he tried to touch your cheek and held your hand?
Yes, that happened on 24th of the December.
How did you react that time?
I strongly objected. I threatened to inform his wife, as I already told Mr. Manu, that he got very embarrassed after realizing that his driver was present as well.
Isn't it true that you don't have a car?
I don't have a car.
Is it possible if you have a car, must not go with Mr. Monty to that party?
Of course, I would never do that. If I had a car, I would take my car.
So it means you prefer going in car over an auto, no matter what, even though the car owner harassed you in the past.
Well, I thought Mr. Monty was very embarrassed at his conduct the last time. I assumed he would behave this time, so I made the blunder of giving him the benefit of doubt.
Is it true, Miss Purnima is your very close friend?
She is my friend, yes. She is a colleague of mine.
Was it mandatory to attend the party?
Yes, unless one has prior commitments, it was mandatory.
Does your friend Purnima also attend the party?
No, she didn't attend.
Okay. Can you presume Miss Purnima preferred to stay with her family over a party?
Yes, she had plans with her husband to celebrate New Year's Eve.
After all this misbehavior by Mr. Monty to you, why don't you think to stay with your family and share the problem faced by you?
Well, as I already said, Mr. Monty was so embarrassed. I thought he would never repeat those same things, and I gave him the benefit of doubt, and it backfired at me. It was, what happened.
You just stated while examination that your mother suggests you to complain, okay, and you are denying here. How it could be?
No, I did
same?
not tell. So I did not tell my mother about the incident right after the party. I told Purnima first the very next day. But after that, I did tell my parents. I told my mother after the complaint had been made to the MD.
All right. I hope your close friend Purnima definitely suggests you not to go with Mr. Monty. After all, she knows what Mr. Monty did to you.
No, in fact, she suggested me to accompany him, assuming he would behave this time. She was the one who had told me earlier also that he has a family, he has a wife, a daughter my age. She thought that he wouldn't repeat what he tried to do.
Point to be noted, Your Honor. I don't understand what kind of close friend Miss Purnima is suggesting her friend to go with that man in the night, knowing that he is not safe at all. Your Honor, I have some strong points here. Now, there is a possibility Miss Purnima and Miss Kashish have some common interest. As I stated in my opening statement, if Miss Kashish succeeds to the post of Mr. Monty, Miss Kashish will definitely try to promote her close friend to his current post in the company. And we find that Miss Purnima has been working as a receptionist for the last 2 years in the company. Isn't it true that in the lift, Mr. Monty tried to hold your hand?
Yes, it's true.
Isn't it true that at the very first instance you pushed him back?
Yes, I pushed him immediately.
Was it the first time Mr. Monty tried to hold your hand?
It was not the first time.
Did you push? Did you push him when he held your hand in car?
Yes, I've already stated I objected very strongly and embarrassed him in front of his driver.
Point to be noted, Your Honor. Try to understand the gravity of objection made in the car earlier. She objected strongly. Even after that, she deliberately go with my client. Your Honor, I would like to state the chronology of incidents to the court just in a few lines. First, very first day, she judged my client that he is not a good character. Second, on her birthday, my client hugged her. She felt awkward. She didn't complain to the higher authorities. Third, while going in the car, my client held his hand and tried to touch her cheek and she strongly objected. Fourth, after all these three unwanted incidents happened to the Miss Kashish, Miss Kashish was well aware about my client's behavior and character. She and her friend decided deliberately to go with Mr. Monty, no matter what she had to do in order to execute his wrong motives. Thank you, Ms. Kashish. That's all. I now hand over the bench to my co-counsel.
I do not agree with this version of your things, but thank you.
Just a minute. I want to stop you all here itself. I think we are going to continue with this demo in the next class as well. Tomorrow's class will not continue since there's a paucity of time also. Thank you so much for all the hard work that has been done by the team.